Good evening. Welcome back. This is Crossy of Eclipse Gaming TV, and we are watching the CSGO League Season 1 semi-final action deciding map between Appronto and Blackout Gaming. It's one map apiece between these two. They both won out their map choices. Blackout Gaming, we saw square off on Mirage. Was taken to overtime, actually. Very impressive stuff from Appronto, who came through into the league. Maybe wasn't the best performance for them early days. Went through a bit of a lineup switch and then hammered through from that point and got themselves into 4th place up against the undefeated Blackout, who have been solid and strong throughout. But maybe Appronto are the dark horse, if you like, in the competition that maybe could have squeaked out a result, and we are staring down the barrel of that here now. Very dominant performance from them on their map on Cash, and made Blackout worry about their map choice to begin with. So it's going to be interesting to see how this one pans out on Nuke. Now the thing with Nuke, as an old Source player, Nuke, Inferno, Dust 2 and Train was pretty much the rotation. Cash was a map that the Americans played. It was a community map that was made. It wasn't a big one in the rotation. Mirage wasn't a thing. There's a few others that circulated about, but Nuke, in the days of Source and 1.6, was a big map in the pool. It's floated in and out of just matchmaking even. Hasn't always been in the game in Global Offensive, and a lot of teams kind of let this one fall by the wayside and don't play it as much as they would have liked. So this is going to come down, I think, to preparation more than anything. This and Train, they're both really good maps to sort them in from the boys, Ablaze and Eden, with a frag apiece starting things off. They have got into the upper, but 2 players out of Nest. They're trying to flood out as quick as they can. Haidar gets one before the push comes in. PTK with 2 as Eden and Shroomy go down. Haidar's got himself up into the Nest. He's going to try and hold off long enough for Sloth to come in. They're not looking towards the hut, and Sloth doesn't get the play that he aims for, but does pick up the frag. Haidar as well is able to grab. Now, I will fly over really quickly and show you where I think a key area is. Back steps. Now, it's possible on T-side to throw smoke into this area and create a wall, so you can potentially bomb all the way through here. The player that's here in Garage needs to be able to deal with that threat, and it's pretty much, rather than buying an AWP for outside, if they keep throwing the smokes and pushing here, just get an M4, spray the smoke and try and do as much damage as you can, and they drop into lower. Because B, the underneath site, it's quite a difficult one to retake if you've got numbers down there on T side. And it's very easy, without knowing it, on the CTs to push in one at a time and get picked off and run into angles and that sort of thing. All the things that they tell you that you shouldn't do when you are playing a game of Counter-Strike. And Symphony, wow, what a one dig that was. And Altalai coming in with a dig of his own. Got someone that was damaged, so it was a one-shot kill, but it wasn't that crisp one dig to the dome that we all know and love. 5v3 then in favour Eden. I think he has an inkling that someone's behind the door in Altalai, though. He has to fire off a couple of shots before Eden gets the jump on him. Slot comes in with one. Haidar steps out and he is refragged instantly, but he does manage to get one of the players. Eden is in trouble again. They refrag. He gets one. Vineso is there straight away to pick it up, and they have fired straight back, have Appronto 1-1. Again, Nuke. Now, Nuke used to be CT-sided. I say used to be, as teams don't always know how to play CT effectively on the Global Offensive version, but how it should play out, getting picks on T-side, it's a difficult venture. If you're trying to get a pick AWP to AWP outside, you are second to the punch. They will already be in Garage waiting for you. If you try and get a pick into ramp towards the back, you see where Symphony is looking towards that back box. That's normally a spot you'd put an AWPer on the CT side. That AWPer is going to be there first. They've got the advantage. If you want to try and push out into the A area and get a pick on the rafters, well, that's up to you. You've probably got 2 or 3 players looking in your direction as soon as you step out there, and they will be slowing you down, aim punch for days, all that kind of thing. Difficult. Very, very difficult. So everything stacks in favour of the CTs. But the only thing is this back steps area. If you can get down back steps, get into lower with enough numbers, that makes it very, very difficult to try and retake and dig you out of it. I commentated a Blackout game for a previous incarnation of the Blackout lineup where they were completely unstuck. It was pretty much the terrorists threw the smoke outside, dropped lower, held the site, won most of the rounds that way, and that was game over. That was all that it needed. Yeah, and it was pretty much one tactic, completely self-destructed this team. And we don't want that happening again to the Blackout boys. We don't want to see a repeat for this new lineup. That's for damn sure. So we see economic pressure again. The trouble is, if you go and win the first round on CT side and then go for full buys, it takes you a little while to get back into the mix. Good opportunity here for Appronto to stack up. Maybe 3, 4, 5 rounds just to open their account. So if you are going on the basis, oh, Haidar with the CZ, that was crisp. More team attacks than anything else going on as they all push her into lobby at the same time. That would have worked really well if there were multiple players in there, but instead they've got back steps access and they will probably be able to get control of this in quick succession. Shroomy does some damage and they do get the refrag. Nice one. Sloth, he's got the ump in hand. Yeah, manages to get his weapon control in check just in time to pick up that frag in the lower site. 3v1 in favour of Blackout. Going to try and peg it back to 2-2 if they can. Pick up AKs if they can. Eden has already got one of those. How about the finances? Can they keep buying Appronto if they lose this one? Yes, I think they can. Whether they get the bomb plant or not, it's kind of irrelevant. Eden got one player towards the back, just shepherding the bomb. Vinso the only man that he's got to worry about. Teammates going to be lining up for the refrag. Sloth watching the door behind. And if Eden goes down, the refrag is on. Vinso is caught at the back. 2-2 to Blackout Gaming. Second AK is retrieved. Buying up for the rest of it. Let's see what we've got. So Symphony with the AWP. Let's follow him straight off the bat here and see what he does with it. Maybe going outside, maybe going ramp, but the other thing we talked about on Mirage, if you get an AWP on T side, you're a little limited in what you can do with it. Same applies for Nuke. You've got to make an opening gambit with the AWP in hand, otherwise you're maybe going to be a little up against it. You've got to wait for your teammates to make the entry so that you can then hold an angle, and that is about all she wrote as far as AWPs go. So it's important that he does something with this weapon for his team as they want to go forward. Looking towards the back. Molotov is going to maybe flush him out a little bit, but he's okay on points of health. Just going to be hoping that a player wants to face him, but the CTs, they're going to be aware of that. The ramp player has to know that if they're going to be facing off against AWP, they don't want to be showing themselves too much. You see Sloth, he uses the box for cover, takes down Altalai as he tries to walk through. Nice work. Couple of players stacking up, looking for a potential ramp push. Sloth goes towards the back boxes. Peeks in, peeks out. Maybe trying to draw an AWP shot from Symphony. Just know it's there, maybe. A player gets one. Sloth, same spot on PTK. Tough to dig a player out of that box. Even if you know he's there, you've got to find the face, and you are going to be second to the punch. Not impossible, especially if you pre-fire it, but then you've got to pre-fire. You haven't got the same luxury of X-ray as I do on the streaming side. Or if you do, well, you're a cheat. Turn them off. Thank you very much. As Symphony then, with the AWP. Going to go and save that with 10 seconds left to go on the clock, and Blackout push themselves into a slender lead. 3 players absolutely broke. 2 more players absolutely broke, but at least they've retrieved a weapon and armor out of that particular round. Blackout, you see, not many rebuys needed. Enough cash in the coffers to be able to rebuy, drop, etc., regardless of what happens in this round. But they're going to want a strong performance here. Get as many rounds on the board as humanly possible on the CT side. Scores like 12-3, 11-4 CT side puts so much pressure on the hold of your opponents if you can get to that point on nuke. Sometimes you have those days on T side where you just can't get a pick anywhere. Now you try, they don't peek, or they out-frag you and then they don't peek that angle again. Or you get the one opportunity and you just whiff it a little bit and then they don't re-peek again because they realise, oh, that was a close one. As Shroomy, he gets two straight away. Haidar gets one as well from outside. Eden sees an arm and does fire. 99 damage is done. The pistol will be enough. Oh, the nade is enough. Wow. Talk about splash damage. That was nowhere near, but it didn't need to be. Just had to blow on the guy. Haidar takes Symphony down to 5 points of health. Nearly a flawless victory from Blackout Gaming. We haven't seen many from them across the whole course. This best of 3. Ablaze trying to pre-fire the corner. Will it be a quick scope from Symphony, or will he go for the no scope? Flash looks away, waits for it, looking for the no scope, misses it by a mile. We see that crack into the wall, and it is 4-2. Double picked up. Sloth goes for that. So Sloth, I'm guessing, is going to be taking that into ramp. Okay, so AWP actually gone to Haidar. And he's going straight low with the AWP. Through the window, back steps. Okay. Now, I'm sure there's other action going on the map, but I'm going to show you this really quickly. This is one way that you can deal with aggression from back steps. You drop down through the ramp, into back steps, hold it from here. Or you can push right up if you want to and just look towards red container, up against an eco. So no such luck here. I would actually prefer to go just a little bit further, up onto the steps, and then from here, oh, I keep hitting the space bar, sorry guys. From up here, you have the opportunity to then peek out. You can get yellow. You've got the angle for yellow. You've got red, etc. You can do some real damage from there. And that's not a bad plan. If a team starts doing that wall of smokes and pushing down lower, get a player down there. You are going to have 3, 4, 5 players on rushing you with AKs, more often than not. But if you can take 2 of them out before they can do anything about it, then it makes it so much easier. It means you've got 3 players on 3 angles, but you've got 4 CTs dropping down into the site. You can refrag if you do it properly, and it works in your favour. Blackout 5-2 on CT side. They're not doing anything out of the ordinary here. This is what you'd expect. Sloth with a collateral. We can see it, but he definitely couldn't. And they do now start to have a bit of ramp control. Sloth got 1 with the fire. Got his second as well. Got a play coming in from K-Sharp. That is Ablaze. Probably isn't called K-Sharp anymore. I bet a lot of you guys are saying who's K-Sharp. But that is the spot here from the steps looking in. So if you've got 1 at the back, 1 player here at K-Sharp, you've got that crossfire set up, and it's a pretty solid way to deal with it if they're hitting you en masse into ramp. Now, often that spot won't be occupied full time. That's something that is taken by the player that's up in nest, up the ladders, and then they can rotate out into that position. It's also a good spot to go if you are pushed out of outside for whatever reason. The fire does a bit of damage from Sloth, but he fires through expecting a player's going to be there. Fires through again. Fires through again. He does get the collateral. Sloth, take a bow. That's a 4. Can he get the 5th? I think he deserves a bit of reverb. This could be huge, and it is. Sloth, 5-man. Wow, that's huge. That is huge. What a time. Sloth, we've seen 9 rounds Counter-Strike in this deciding map. Sloth is sitting on 17, 1 for 1. Frags out for Blackout. Yeah, okay. That's a bit more like it. That's a bit more like it. This is exactly what Blackout needed. They struggled on their map choice. They got absolutely destroyed in Appronto's map choice. Now, they never really looked in it. They made mistakes that cost them rounds that could have made a completely different situation for them. They didn't pick it up, and they needed a confidence boost on CT side. You know, you have to be strong. You have to be solid on your CT side on Nuke. If you put up a big score here, even though CT-sided map, you know, you have that advantage on T side. With the Glocks against the USPs, hitting into a site en masse, you actually have the advantage on T side. So, you know, you can really turn the screw. If you've got 11 or 12, you win the pistol, you win the next two, you're sitting on 13, 14 rounds straight off the bat. No room for error whatsoever for the defending CT side. Symphony, he gets one. The refrag comes in, and Alzai trades straight back. Ablaze trades again. It's refrags aplenty. Rienzo goes down. Where's the next refrag coming from? Well, it's not. Got Sloth coming into the S. He's got chance on one. Misses that one by half an inch, maybe. Haidar, last man standing against three. Not going to go for this one. Probably going to be able to save the AWP with no problems. Plenty of cash in the coffers. It's going to be 7-3. Not much money in the bank either for the Appronto guys. Two players got a rebuy. And they have to fear the reset here. I'm sure a lot of you know how the reset works, but basically, the more rounds that you lose on the spin, oh, see you later, Haidar, you've got to rebuy that AWP, mate. The more rounds that you lose on the spin, the more money that you get at the end of every round. It starts at 14.50, and then you're on an upward scale from there. If you win a round and then you lose the next one straight away, instead of getting like 3 grand in your bank, you're getting half that. I mean, less than half that, to try and do the same thing. And if you're losing rounds, you've probably had to rebuy all of your weapons, all of your utility, all of your armor. If you're only getting 1,500 quid and you need like 5 to get everything that you want, well, the numbers don't add up, do they? And that's helped straight away with Haidar getting an opening gambit on the outside with the AWP in hand. 2 more players looking to do the same kind of thing round about the outside area. The wall of smoke comes in. This is the problem when you have the AWP. You can't really pot shot through that because it leaves you exposed. And they are now going for it. Symphony's on his way down with the assistance of a flash. Has he got teammates with him? Yes, he has. Vienzo, who was huge in the first map, taken down from round about the nest area. So, an AWP maybe peeking back up. Symphony has been spotted by the man out of the back of vents. You know, big old leg and an arm and whatever sticking out. I'm sure Symphony saw that, but his priority is to try and get as much site control as he could, and does that, taking down Sloth. Going to use Molly and Smoke to slow down any approaches coming in from ramp. Miguelito has got Eden as he tries to come in. 3v3 then. T's going to be trying to dig themselves into the site as best they can. Shroomy coming in from back. 2 players round about the back. So Shroomy, he's in the prime position to get 1. Can he get 2? No, he hasn't got anyone refragging him. Oh, that's too slow. That's too slow, Blackout. Didn't time that right. 1 player peeked, got picked off. Another player peeked, got a frag, got picked off. And then the 3rd player came in. If they'd stepped, it's pretty much a second or 2 in it. If they'd all stepped a little quicker than they did, then you would have had 3 players looking at 3 angles, going for refrags, etc. In the end, they just came out one at a time, and from what could have been a chance to pile on the reset and then put it into something like 10-3. As a result of that, we're sitting with 7-4. Blackout on the buy, but no AWP up. Blessing in disguise, actually, not having an AWP on CT side, I would suggest. They are starting to get some control up. Shroomy runs through. What are you doing? Pushes through the smoke. Eden gets 1. He is refragged instantly. Tough spot there out of the squeaky door up into the hut, but he was quick to take down Eden. 4v2. Sloth and Haidar got to be thinking, have we got the money? Well, Sloth actually got 5 grand, so he could buy something, but they go for it. They're taken down. Ended up being a bit of a waste in the end. Eden goes to the pause. Much needed. Have a little chat about it. So I say thank you very much, guys, for joining us, and a lot of you sticking with us over these last 3 hours, best part of. It's been a little bit of an epic, this one, to say the least.
Vroom. Vroom.
Very, very enjoyable stuff, though. Blackout Gaming and Appronto giving us a real humdinging battle. First versus fourth, but I think if Appronto had this full lineup for the full competition, then yeah, maybe they would have done some damage, and maybe it would have been roles reversed. Coming in Blackout in second, facing off against third place, they would have been in the other qualifier tonight. Well, the other semi-final, I guess, is probably a better term than qualifier. Eden on top of hut. Tony wants to drop himself out there. Stacking up from the outside, two Blackout players trying to get aggro. Let's fly out and see what's happening there. So Haidar gets one, but he's left his mate Shroomy out there. He's got two players coming in from red, one coming in from yellow. Not ideal. Sorry, the yellow call is a flashback to Days of Source. That's Silo on the outside, which I think most people do actually call Silo, sorry. It used to be a bright yellow back in the day, so it was easy to differentiate that from everything else. Still kind of makes sense for old school gamers of the Counter-Strike series, but not so much for the newbies, as Vinzo is able to get one frag there. Sloth last man standing against two, and it's been a huge performance from him. 17-4 is his score, but he's leading the charge, and you know, with the score going in the direction that is for the team, 7-5, soon to be 7-6. Appronto could end up winning half. Winning half on Nuke, T-side. Oh dear. It's all looking so convincing as well. All looking so convincing at one point for Blackout, aside from that round that got lost, but they could have retaken at the bottom and just went a little too slow. That would have changed the complexion of things completely, would have forced the reset. Would have scuppered Appronto financially, would have given them the chance to put rounds on the board. And Blackout needs to be smart about what they do here. They could force, they could eco, and just keep that AWP. Sothberg going to take the AWP into ramp and just try and lock that down in the way that he has been accustomed to. The trouble is, though, if you have rounds like that and there's no real access into the ramp, you don't really go for it too much. Blazer, he does get one, decides wisely not to push through and try and get that weapon at this stage. PTK gets one, and they're trying to get the push out of hut. Kind of works to a point. We're back to a 3v3, and Sloth with the AWP. He takes down Vinzo as he steps into the ramp. So numbers are favouring Blackout. Can they get themselves a weapon? They've dropped back into A. They're thinking ramp. That's locked down. Sauce having the game of his life. Eden tries to do some damage. I think he's actually missed every possible shot that he could have there. Into the leg, though. Ablaze from behind. Needs to time this perfectly. Gets the first, gets the second. Nice work, Ablaze. Nice work, Eden. Just delaying things and playing for time a little bit. 8-6 it is. What's the money like on the Appronto side? Those 4 rounds that they got on the spin, it was enough. They can rebuy. They've got cash to play with if they want an AWP, but the AWP hasn't worked that well for them, really. As I say, situational weapon. We looked at what the AWP can do on T side, and it's pretty much get a pick outside, get a pick ramp, or it's limited until you've got access to the site. Vinzo gets tagged down to 53. I'm not sure actually where that came from. I think it must have been through the hut. PTK spamming through, shoots the door out and takes Shroomy in the meantime. Haidar on the outside looking towards the connector or Z. The route into the upper site. 2 players out, Squeak. Here it comes, Eden totally white up in the nest. down he goes. Blaze gets one in the spray down, gets his second as well. But, oh, now he's got caught up in the rafters. They knew his position. Bomb in the hands, PTK. Gets there in the end.
Bomb has been planted.
Sloth could maybe spam through that silo there in the middle. Does get the shot. Does he know that this last player is on 20 points of health? Has he had the call? I think probably not. Sees him, and Altalai with his 22 points. More than enough to carry him through against the 5 HP of Sloth. And I think the trouble with that, because Sloth didn't have the info on damage, he also didn't have the info on position, didn't know where he was going to be coming from. And if you knew damage and position, maybe he would have had pistol out. He wouldn't have flicked outside. He would have just been looking towards the squeaky to hut area. Would have worked a little quicker, but it is 8-7. A slender victory for Blackout on the CT side of Nuke. My thinking is probably not enough here. That would be my guess at this stage, but it's not the end of the world, because some teams, they do struggle on CT side of Nuke. They don't really know how to play it. Blackout may have a few tactics in the bag. Maybe they'll make a little more use of the outside to back steps to secret into lower approach. Appronto didn't really need it, actually. They were, for the most part, getting what they wanted in the upper site. Learnt the hard way very quickly that Sloth, who was one frag short of his 20 bomb in the first half, was not worth challenging in the ramp area. Got 5k, got a collateral from there. Well and truly locked down. The trouble is, though, if you've got an AWP in ramp and you need them to rotate and be flexible, again, difficult. No, I think that's a real shame with Global Offensive compared to how things were back in the days of Source and maybe actually when CSGO was fresh and new. The AWP has limited effectiveness now. It used to be that the AWP would be a huge weapon at any point and an AWP player could change the game. And I guess this is me saying this from an AWP player perspective, but these days you have to be crisp with a rifle as well. Altalai gets out of dodge and drops very, very quickly as Blackout go for it for the lower push. Eden gets one as he drops into lower slot, doing some damage with the help of his teammates. And it's like pea shooters going off all over the gaff. People are getting tagged left, right, centre. Oh, Vinzo with a frag on Sloth. One bullet is all you need when you find the face with a silenced USP. Just caught him on the run, waiting for him to walk into it, basically. Bomb planted and... ooh, okay, Vinzo with his second. They're swarming the site en masse now. Maybe Eden would have preferred the pea shooter rather than the silenced USP. Oh, maybe not. He gets one from the walk gate and a Blaze. Now he steps in. 1v1 situation. This is getting tense. This is a crucial round, so it deserves just a little touch of reverb. I'm not sure Miguelito, without the kit, has the time to pick up the defuse here. Let's see. No, he does not. He can't even find it in the smoke, so no such luck. Maybe with the kit, actually, he had time for that. But just couldn't, no matter what he did, running around, pressing his E key, whatever he happens to use for defusing, wasn't able to pick it up. So Blackout then, 9-7, going for the purchase. No forces of SMGs coming in from Appronto, going for the upgraded pistols. So this should be Blackout's round. Double AK setup with head armor. Be careful, guys. Working outside, got the range. Can they get the frag? Yes. Okay, a Blaze has got the opening gambit. And it means that for a while, until they get into the site, they are not going to lose those AKs. Shroomy with one, spraying down through into the squeaky area. Flicking across the player coming in from the ramp is able to do some damage. Symphony with 2 frags for pride more than anything. Does a little bit of damage, but actually he's taken one of the AKs that didn't quite survive, I don't think, unless a Blaze has got it, but no, Gets dropped the AK, so good work. They weren't able to retrieve that, but full eco coming in. 11-7 should be the score at the end of this round. And Blackout, if they can get the first buy v buy, really apply some financial and round pressure. You know, maybe all is not lost for them at this point. They need to put the performance in though, and they're dealing with the push. It's an eco bash, it is a spray down, but it's done the job. 11-7 as expected. First buy versus buy. I don't think there's enough money for AWPs to come in. No, there is. Miguelito's got the AWP, so let's watch him real quick and see where he goes. Will he try and take the ramp area? Is he going to try and lock that down in the same way that Sloth did, who has acquired his 20 bomb? 21 to be exact. Miguelito going outside. Finds a smoke straight away and steps away. That's Eden with the opening pick. 5v4. Early doors here in this round. The first buy versus buy of the all-important deciding final map of Nuke. 3 hours Counter-Strike and counting. Miguelito waits for Sloth to step out and back and then takes that frag. Really nice stuff from him. Brings it back even, 4-4 in terms of numbers. 4-round advantage for Blackout over Appronto as well. Scoreboard fairly even for the Appronto guys. Sloth was runaway man first half. Eden starting to bring himself back into line though. 45 seconds on the clock and counting. Blackout still need a plant somewhere. And here they go, they're thinking about it. Vienna, they need to refrag, and Shroomy does through the flashes, etc. Have they checked Hut? Nobody's checking Hut. 3 players are in peril if they don't check Hut ablaze. What are you doing? Please check. There we go. 2v2 then. Eden on site with the AWP. Can he get PTK? He needs to be scoping up. He doesn't scope quickly enough. Just peeks that and so difficult. And this is going to be a refrag situation, or it should be. A blaze comes in huge. They needed that. Oh, wow. This is tense. If you're a Blackout fan, this is really tense because that shouldn't have gone the way that it did. Eden sitting on the site with the AWP, peeking out through the hut, not scoping up. No. You can't, well, you can't no-scope that. The no-scope is just a complete lottery. So you need to be quick-scoping or just have your scope up in that situation. I can understand that you've got to be wary of all the angles, but you know, you've got to be able to do something from that position to keep your scope out. Haidar able to work, and they are going for the wall of smokes and down secret. One player taken out, and Symphony just didn't react at all to that, really. Not even some Deagle spam through it in the hope of doing some damage. PTK and Altalai get a frag apiece. Numbers in favour. Can they get these weapons? Well, there's one that they've got straight away. Eden going to be looking to take down, and does take down Vineso from behind. Haidar able to grab Symphony as well. Still an AK up in the hands of Altalai. Maybe not the player that you would want to come up huge for your team, but it's a 1v3, it is a clutch, so let's give him a bit of reverb, guys. Let's see what he can do. We've got one player looking in his direction. Eden picks it up. 13-7 it is. Back on the buy here are Appronto. Full stock of weapons. Full loss bonus. Having dropped 5 on the spin, but look at how invested they are. The most money on the team, $250. I mean, they've all got enough to buy a Nando's, but that's about all at this stage. It's like going through lower. He's going to be facing that back steps. Just a little bit worried that the same thing is going to happen again. Blackout, I think, going to keep that as an ace up their sleeve. Shroomy Getting utility ready. Throws it on top of Hut, but there is no one on top of Hut. It's no use to them this time. Blaze gets one. He's straight out. Voenzo with the weapon. Symphony gets a frag as well. Symphony going to be peeking through into the Hut. If that smoke dissipates before they catch him, he's in trouble. Someone switched out. They will have given his position away, and he's in there standing right next to Eden. The only player left. Oh, wow. Not good enough, unfortunately. Just isn't good enough. The trouble you have, they had all that utility flying in there, smokes, molotovs, etc., but they're in angles where the players weren't. And then there wasn't enough extra to follow in from that. It's pretty much right. These smokes and molotovs, they need to work. Otherwise, we're screwed here, guys. And they didn't work, and they were screwed. They needed more flashes in the air. Players in the site needed to be completely white long enough for them to make moves. Instead, it allowed for a player to walk in, Symphony, hop in through the window. It allowed them to frag one at a time. Just use the nest for cover. Weren't able to refrag quickly enough. A Blaze. Oh, wow, what a shot there is on Altalai. I don't even know how he knew to go for that, but he did. He saw something or heard something or whatever. It doesn't matter. But he got the frag. And this is a chance for a reset. 5 rounds of loss bonus. Has been reset automatically. You look at the money again. They haven't got much to scrub together. Blackout need this, but sometimes worry they're a little short of ideas. Spending a lot of time standing around waiting for something to happen. Waiting for an AWP pick to come in, but it's Miguelito who gets it. They do refrag though. Nice work from Sloth. He's been the man to watch in this half. Numbers again in Blackout's favour. Haidar going to be looking to try and work his way into upper. Symphony is there on top of the Hut, but it doesn't pan out. Symphony's down to low, but it's not enough. PTK gets 2 frags from the K-sharp area looking into the ramp, and again it's another missed opportunity. Oh dear. I'll tell you what Blackout are missing at this stage, and it maybe wasn't highlighted as much on the other 2 maps, but it certainly is now, is they are lacking some entry frag potential. You know, they spend a lot of time sitting around waiting for things to happen. Yeah, in fact, they're opening up a lot of these rounds with a pick from somewhere, but then from that point they're waiting for Appronto to make a move. They're waiting for them to try and peek and for something to happen, or for them to try and do something silly and aggressive and give another frag away and open up a site. And that's not happening. That's not happening at all. These guys are too disciplined to do something quite like that. And it's relying on Blackout to make entry frags into the site. And I don't want to go off and say they haven't got someone that can do that, but the players that they've got earmarked to do that maybe aren't enough. And I think throughout the course of this game, we've been seeing Eden to be the player to get entry frags, when maybe he'd be looking to other members of the team perhaps to do that more often than not. I don't actually know if that's the team dynamic, so apologies if I've got that wrong. Long story short, they're looking to get someone from the Blackout community in for the I-Series that's up and coming in March, I think it is. I played 1 game for a trial for that, so I'm not an expert in exactly how their team dynamic works. I think this might actually be the 2nd time that I've seen these guys in action as well. But you know, you just get the feeling that the guy that's in-game leader and AWPer, kind of out of necessity rather than out of choice, maybe isn't the guy that you're going to be looking at to be making your entries into the site. That's a sign that maybe 1 or 2 players aren't stepping up and playing their roles in the way that you would quite like. And on Nuke, you need it. Because yes, you can, straight off the bat, get a pick from somewhere, probably in ramp, probably in outside, and you may well be doing that with an AWP. But from that point, you still have to enter a site. And from the way that the site's set up, I mean, in lower, you can, if you're in ramp, you can just drop. You can drop into lower, hide in dark spot, hide round around the back of vents or into window room or something. You can slow right up. You know, 1 or 2 players up in the nest and whatever in A, with a few well-timed flashes and smokes can really slow up any kind of potential pushes into the upper site. So it is not difficult to, with reduced numbers, hold off pushes on Nuke on CT side. Yeah, we're talking about at times, would you prefer to lose a player on CT or onto T side? Well, you'd rather lose a player on T side because you have that numbers advantage when you hit one of the sites. Nuke, not necessarily that, because 2 players can hold off a 5-man rush with weapons and with utility. And it happens way more often than you would expect. And this can happen on B site or A site. So you need players that can step in and make you a couple of entry picks. You basically need, if there's 2 players in the upper site, you need 2 entry frags before you get that bomb plant down, and then you need to deal with the retake. If you don't get that, and you only get 1 entry and you get the plant and you try and cover each other, but you leave someone left alive and the retake comes in, it's too many numbers. You need those extra frags. You see, they've got 1 frag so far on the outside. They've got 5v4, 5v3. Okay, now we've got something. Now they've got something they can work with, and now rounds are going in their favour. They're refragging. This is working. 1 man left down. Eden with the no-scope dropping into vents takes it to 14-12. Blackout have to beware the reset again. They've got some money to keep buying into this one, but if they are reset, they are up against it. They're probably going to get pegged back to 14-14. Appronto. They've got plenty of cash that they can keep buying if they need to for another round or 2. I think they're okay to buy for another round. Next time out. Haidar trying to get something going from the ramp. Streaming up close. He's got a player close to him. Probably won't know that for this stage until he maybe steps out. Utility comes in. Plenty of flashes coming on. Counter flashes. That slowed it up. That Molotov has slowed down the push. They can't get out of the site. And it's trapped them in. Blackout have lost 2 players in that skirmish. They haven't entered the site. They haven't got any entry picks. They haven't got a bomb plant. And they're now back to the drawing board. Altalai gets a frag on the Blaze as well. Completely unchallenged. Now he can drop into lower, play for time. Vinzo pops in from above, drops the bomb. That was some K-Sharp. He was rotating out of the nest area, I think. Into ramp to deal with that potential push. Shroomy in a 1v5. No reverb for Shroomy. He's not going for this one. His cojones not quite big enough to go for this. Can't say I blame him either. He's going to take that AK through into the next round. He can drop another AK. A Blaze might be able to cobble together an AWP. Maybe no, can't cobble together an AWP. And you see the resets come in. So Sloth has no money. Haidar has no money. Only 1 drop going to be available if they decide they want to go for it. Pause called. Don't think they got it in quite quickly enough. I think they're expecting that pause is going to be needed. It could be a botch round, actually. I think they would have liked to have had time to talk this one over, but they spent too long talking over whether they want to talk things over. Gonna leave 2 players. Haidar and Sloth just going to try and grab a weapon, either offer a fallen comrade or from whatever pick they're able to work. Looking towards the ramp. Altalai could be a key man here. If he can pick up a couple of frags out of this position, that would be huge for the team. If he gets taken down, it's going to give them ramp control, which isn't too much of a big thing. That I may talk about at the end of this round, unless there's any more pressing issues. The T ramp control thing on this map. Yes, I've cancelled the pause due for the next round. 40 seconds left to go. Nothing really happened. Altai, you see the pressure. He drops away. He flashes it down. They're playing for time. There's 30 seconds left to go on the clock. Blackout have gone absolutely nowhere. They've got no picks. They've got no push from outside. There's no real action there apart from Miguelito, who may be able to get Eden if he steps out, and he hasn't. But 20 seconds left to go. They need to make something happen. Up into the upper. They've got into the side. They need a plant. There are trades going about plenty. Eden, 6 players left to go. He's caught from behind by Altalai, who picks up an all. 14-14. Oh, Blackout. Oh, Blackout. Save. Eco for last. Try and take it into overtime if they can. What was that round? What was that round? Looks like this is going to be over super quick. Vent drop, plant lower, get cash in the bank, try and pick up whatever frames they can, do as much economic damage as they can. Which isn't a lot. And the defuse comes in. So, just very quickly, we'll talk about ramp control as we get into potentially the final round or potentially overtime. If you get the pick at the back of ramp and you take ramp control, it's not an area that you are particularly worried about. For example, we saw Cash earlier on tonight. If you have mid control and Cash, imagine the damage that you can wreak from that position. Not so much if you've got ramp control, because you know, often teams will drop the player into lower. If they get any kind of pressure in ramp, let them have it. Because what's the worst that they can do? They can get nest. Oh, well, there's probably a player in nest. There's probably another player in rafters or lower who can deal with that. They can refrag if they're in any kind of pressure. Blackout going for the outside push. 3 versus 3. They've got a couple of kills, but they've traded back. So you know that thing we were talking about, they need an entry? Well, yeah, they still need an entry. That's going to help from Sloth as he takes down a player. Brings it back to 3v2, but they still haven't got access to a site. 3 of them now going back steps. It's going to be lower. Sloth leading the charge. 27 frags to 17 for him. Slow and tentative, this push down into lower. Symphony can get down there quick if he wants to. And will. Whether he wants to stop the plant, that's up to him. Instead, he's going to try and deal with the player that's going to stop his teammate Vienzo from getting in at ramp, and does exactly that. Sloth will try and get himself into cover. Nice work, though. Nice AK control, finding the face of Vienzo from deep. 15-15. Are we going to see an overtime? Symphony, he's on the site. He's got one. What can he do here? This is going to be tense. This could be game over. Haidar close with the orb. He's going to be going for a no-scope. That flash is going to completely blind him. The doors are closed, but he does pick it up. 15-15. Good half. Overtime. And I'm going to take a very quick pause. I think it's 1.5 minutes. So I'll be back very, very soon. Whew, what a game, eh? This is Crossy of Eclipse Gaming TV. We are watching the Blackout Gaming boys tonight. And while I'm leaning my support towards Blackout, I am very much leaning my support towards competitive, good quality Counter-Strike. And that is exactly what we're seeing tonight. The second overtime, the third map, Both of them were needed, and this has been a real fun watch. So credit to both teams for giving us a spectacle. Though it's a shame that there is only about 20 people watching this rather than... How many are going to be watching the major? 200,000? Maybe that sort of thing. Maybe we're not delivering quite the same viewer numbers, but nonetheless, these guys are both delivering. Overtime it is. Blackout won the last overtime, but it was in their map choice, and they have certainly struggled at points here on Nuke. I don't think they are quite set up for it, from what we've seen so far. But never mind. Chance them to scrape through. And I think, I'll call it now, if Appronto don't pick this one up, as in this match, they're going to be feeling very hard done by. I think they probably deserve it on balance. Miguelito, he gets Haidar, who's trying to get on the boost up towards the containers that are there. Gets blinded by the flash and then taken out very swiftly. So Blackout now on the back foot. I think at times they looked stronger on their T side, which is worrying, even though they didn't have enough incisiveness, so they weren't making enough picks. They weren't really doing enough getting onto sites, I don't think. I think on balance, as I say, they need to get the T rounds here to give themselves a fighting chance in this best of 3 overtime. Best of 6 overtime, actually, isn't it? MR3, my bad. So going for the ramp. Again, 30 seconds left on the clock, a little short of ideas, but Slothay, he's able to pick up the player from K-Sharp this time. Altalai, he's stuck up there, and he's taken down 2 players. Eden's got to try and get himself into lower. He's got a teammate there backing up, that's a Blaze. Eden needs to peek, needs to be facing. Oh dear. Drops out to try and get to the other side. He just needed to be there to help his teammate. A Blaze was on an island. Nothing he could really do. 8 seconds left. And it is first blood in the overtime of the deciding map to Appronto. Too much time spent hanging around, not really with any such plan. This is, I think, another thing for Blackout. The fact that on more than one occasion they're sitting there with the timer ticking down, having to rush in somewhere, and then not picking it up. They may as well go for it. They may as well commit to something and say, right, well, whatever happens, at 45 seconds, we are going to go for X site or Y site, and give them the time to go for it and push in. And if it doesn't work out, well, you've got to keep forcing through it. If you get dropped or a player gets dropped or something, just keep committing. Haidar comes out and gets caught in the spray down, gets his second as well from the back steps. Actually needed a player to push out and try and get the refrag with him on that first frag that he got. Lucky he was able to come away with it. At 4 versus 1, it is in favour of Blackout. They're going to bring it back to 16-16. Aside from a nightmare, Vinzo is going to do some damage, taking 1 player out. Ink drops are going to be available for Appronto. They can keep their full stock going into this final round of the overtime half. Eden takes down Vinzo. A little bit more economic damage, but doesn't matter. 9k, 6k. Drops can come in. Sloth with the 30 bomb. Eden 29. Shroomy so far being kept quiet on the Blackout side. But reasonably even, all in all. Between the 2 sides, that is. Last round for Blackout on their T side. Is it going to be 2-1 or 1-2 that they're staring down the barrel of? Going back stats, PTK might have the chance to spray down. He gets 2 in a collateral. Chance for more. Sloth does get the frag in the end. It's going to be him and Eden down there. 2 of the higher performing players, and Shroomy, who needs to get some frags on the board. He steps out. He doesn't get the frag, and they don't get the re-peek either. Eden Bomb on the site. Altele is there on the walkway. He's got 3 players that he's got to find. Eden, wouldn't put it past him. He deserves some reverb, and he deserves this action to be called with just his name and nothing else. Eden, oh, Eden. Short-lived tonight. And it is good halves exchanged. 2-1 from Appronto. Another 2 rounds out of this next coming 3, and it is going to be GG to them. One round for Appronto, and it is going to be another round of overtime. Blackout win all 3, then Blackout from the jaws of defeat or clutch victory. Good to see that the banter is still there between these 2 teams. It's been played in very good spirit. Oh, hey guys, looks like we had a little spike in viewership, which is all good. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and joining us at the death, the exciting conclusion of this semi-final match of CSGO League UK. Blackout Gaming took the first map, their map in overtime. Second map, Appronto came through in solid style on cash and picked up the second, taking it to 1-1. We are in the decider. Went to overtime again. Appronto have a 2-1 lead in overtime number 1. Going to be underway in 10 seconds or so. I believe it's 10k start money. I haven't actually checked for these overtimes, but I will make sure. It looks to be playing much that way. 2 rounds for Appronto out of the remaining 3. They get the win. 1 round for them, and we will have another overtime. If Blackout get the clean sweep of all 3, then GG, it's a Blackout Gaming win. Double AWP set up on the CTs. Difficult situation on CTs, even with 10k start money, you can feel the squeeze. If you lose the first 2, actually it doesn't matter. Lose the first 2, it's GG, it's game over. Appronto proceed through into the finals. And yeah, normally if you lose 2 rounds CT side, the 3rd round you are on forced what you can. Upgraded pistols with armor for the utility. Maybe you can squeak a FAMAS or an SMG if you're willing to forego utility or armor. Working with the push on the outside. Going to try and get to back steps. That smoke is going to do the job and allow him to get there. Haidar, very limited in what he can do in that position with the AWP. He knows that there's AWP at steps. Heard that shot cracked off. Doesn't want to risk it though. It's too tense to be stepping and trying to take on an AWP at close quarters like that. Smoking up a Sloth with a frag on Symphony. Eden taken down in the meantime, and it looks like we're going to be seeing action into B. The rotates come in. We've got Blackout players falling down. Miguelito gets one, but inside the vent, he was in trouble and is caught very quickly. Smoke at the back of sight means that Ablaze can't see down. Outside gets one before PTK. He's fragged back. Ablaze doing real damage to Altalai, but he is last man against 2. He deserves some reverb again. Let's see what he can do. Throwing that utility in. Goes for the fake. Maybe could have stuck it, actually. Maybe could have stuck it. There's one player behind him. He knows the other is from behind the door. And again, maybe could have gone for the stick. Let's go for the push. And he's being played rope-a-dope with Altarai. Picks it up. The wonder of 2020 hindsight, but I think 2 opportunities where he could have stuck that one, Blaze, and sat, picked the thing up, but instead he goes for a double fake and fakes himself out. Takes too long over the whole affair, and it is going to be 3-1. One more round does it. One more round for Appronto brings it home. Blackout need to win the next two. As you can see, they're going for the rebuys. They're getting all of their weapons. They are stuck with 150, 0 at the end of all that, 350 at the end of that. Sloth is going to be similar situation when he goes for his buy. He's going to have nothing left in the coffers. If they're going to win this round, they've got to do it clean. They've got to get as many, they've got to save as many weapons carrying through as they can. So they're going to be limited in what they can actually rebuy. Need a comfortable, clean, tidy hold, because Appronto are going to keep on buying into this one. Molotov goes into the hut, maybe a little too soon. There's very little chance that they're going to keep pushing that one like right at the start, go barreling into hut. It might be a bit of a Hail Mary, let's try it, let's see if we can catch them off guard kind of thing, but maybe you would like to hold that molly back just a little bit longer for when they need it to try and slow up any potential pushes or to try and flush someone out of a deep-rooted position on that lower site. Maybe would have been more useful there. Shroomy taken down to half HP. He's going to be getting out of there, I would hope. Not smart to keep re-peeking. As Appronto stacking up in the upper. Maybe thinking about a play into A. You see through the X-ray, looking towards the outside. Is Haidar giving his position away? No, he's dropped in the secret just to make sure they can't go there. You see the walls of smokes coming in. Maybe that's going to be their plan, is to get into lower. Haidar, he steps up, he gets one, but he's traded out. Should have waited. Should have just let them come down into him. Got 2, 3 frags out of it, maybe. Called it for his teammates when the footsteps came. Eden gets one. It's now coming into Z. Eden's got 2 before he's fragged out by Altalai. Players going in for both angles. Players gets 1. Can he get second? Yes, he can. Blackout live to fight another day. All comes down to this. All comes down to this. Appronto win this, they win the whole thing. Blackout win this one. We are on to our second overtime of this deciding map. Blackout, I think, just did enough last time. They ran the timer down, much in the same way. Oh, Haidar stepped. He showed himself, and you know, that's an area that you check. You will look to the top of the smoke and see what frags you can get, because you haven't got any real threat. You know, the Mac player, unless they're going to try and spray down through the smoke, you haven't got any real threat of being picked off, so you can look towards whether they're looking above the smoke on top of the boxes. You can have a little look onto the rafters and try and catch a guy who's at the back of nest as PTK gets Eden, who tries to push through. Takes him down to 15, but it's not enough. Blaze, he does get a frag, so 4 versus 3. Oh no, it's the kiss of death, the auto disconnect. I think that means it's GG, but we will see the conclusion. Shroomy struggled on this map, but he comes out and gets the one. Vienzo frags him straight back though. He is not messing around. Miguelito with a frag. Ablaze, last man standing against 3. He's going to be known when Miguelito is up towards the ramp. Tries to go for the shot. Shoulder peek comes in though, draws him out, and now they know where Ablaze is going to be coming in from. 3 players he's got to find. Down he goes. GGs are exchanged, and that is all she wrote. Oh, wow. Okay. It's a little disappointing when you sit through 3.5 hours of Counter-Strike to see the team that you are backing of the two not pick up the win. But, hey, if it's going to happen, you may as well witness some brilliant Counter-Strike. Really, really well played, Appronto. Big stuff from those guys. And as I mentioned at the end of that game, if they came out of that without a victory, they would have been supremely disappointed. They stood toe-to-toe with Blackout on their map choice. They took them into overtime, and Blackout were just able to close it together in the overtime and actually made that look comfortable. But everything up to that point was a struggle. Came on to Cash. Their map, They locked it down. They were coming in full of confidence. And then we get into Nuke and Blackout. Too many mistakes. Too many pushes where they shouldn't have. Too many times where they weren't refragging. Too many times where they maybe got the pick early on their T side, but they didn't have the ability to get those entry frags. So when they are entering, they've got players that were there ready to defend, who have got utility, who can delay long enough for those rotates to come in. And it just wasn't quite enough for them, sadly. Back to the drawing board a little bit for Blackout, I think. And I think that comes down a little bit to not being fully prepared on all of the maps yet. Nuke is one of those that you come to kind of last. It's in that pile with Train and Overpass where it doesn't come up very often. You want to put your time into the Mirage, into the Cache, into the Dust 2 to a point, into... what else have I missed? Inferno. These are the maps you're going to see more often. You probably actually see Cobblestone more than you see Nuke these days. And who would have thought that would be the case? But, yeah, that's the way that things now end up playing. So, yeah, I think more work needed in terms of a few of these other maps and how they can best use the players that they have in their arsenal. But, you know, they've come through this tournament. They weren't challenged. They come up against an Appronto side who maybe weren't looking all that at the start, made some shifts to their lineup, came through super strong, and it's good to see another team in the mix. GG to them, and I will be looking forward to charting their progress as they go on into the final, which will be shown next Tuesday, I believe it is. We will find out what the deal is, whether we can get some action on the Eclipse/Blackout channel or whether that will go somewhere else. But that's going to be available. I would be very, very surprised if the final isn't being streamed. And Appronto are definitely a team to watch. They've got the ability. They have got the... They've got the mental toughness to get through a best of 3 with overtimes against a strong side who went undefeated in the competition, and they have got some supremely talented players in there that can do a job as well. So, you know, very excited to see what they can do going forward. Thank you very much for watching. I have been Crossy. This has been Eclipse Gaming TV. I haven't done a lot on this channel. I will grant you that. Various reasons for it. I won't give you the story now, but... I'm in the process of buying a house. When that happens, I'll be able to put a lot more grind into this channel. There'll be a lot more Counter-Strike action on it. So drop it a follow, and in the coming months, in the next 6 months, you'll see a lot more activity. Hopefully lots more quality Counter-Strike. Hopefully some half-decent commentating. I hope you guys have enjoyed the action tonight. And, yeah, it's going to be good stuff. And hopefully more and more content on this channel. So give it a follow. Make sure you get the email notifications. I won't spam you. I don't use it very often at the moment. But I will. And it will happen at some point in 2018 in the early part of, I'm hoping. Also, keep it locked to Blackout. I think it's Blackout Gaming UK for our channel. There will be action from the Counter-Strike team on there. Plus, we're starting to up our streaming schedule, and you'll be seeing some Overwatch, and you'll be seeing some RTS, and you'll be seeing some casted 10-mans for the more the community side on Blackout Gaming UK for that Twitch channel. So it would be great to have you involved and watching for that as well. I'm going to stop rambling. You've all watched nearly 4 hours worth of Counter-Strike. I've talked for nearly 4 hours. I'm sure we're all bored of it. So I'm going to call it a night. Thank you very much, guys, for watching. Thank you for your support. And GG to both teams. It was a pleasure.